Alright, guys, so welcome to the P Alpha Music Podcast. This is your host, Pablo Ruiz Vargas. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you listen to the podcast in Anchor.fm and in the podcast itself, just make sure that you share the content. You listen to the podcast on YouTube, Rumble, and BitChute, you know what to do. Make sure you like and subscribe. The only thing I speak here is my opinion and what I think is truth. If you have some disagreement, you can put it down in the comment below. I'm gonna really appreciate it. Now, this is episode 130 for the PFL Music Podcast. Today's topic is accountability is kryptonite. And then you can just fill the blank. Accountability is kryptonite. It's kryptonite for people that think they're perfect. It's kryptonite for people that think that the world should be the center of their attention for them. It's kryptonite for liars. It's kryptonite for people that don't want to hear the truth. And I think this was one of the topics that Kevin Simons brought out into Manifest. Understand that. But as me as a musician, as an entrepreneur, kryptonite accountability, it is something that I had to just work on for years. For the fact that if I was not looking for my results, maybe I was doing something wrong. That being said, during that journey, I found out that I was doing a lot of things wrong. Not only wrong, but something called accountability was not present in my trajectory. Sorry for that. Now, why do I say accountability is a kryptonite? Why putting that concept that came from the comic book, the DC hero Superman. So kryptonite is basically that piece of rock or something that's green. And every time the Superman touches it or is close by, he becomes weak. So without the kryptonite, he's this strong, superhuman kind individual where he just can travel for millions of miles away. Mills, go to the sun, all that stuff, and come back. He's super strong. Now, as soon as you put that kryptonite close to him, he just becomes weak. Okay, so what happens from the generation that we have women and men taking responsibility, make sure the family has, piece of bread to eat, a house to survive, right? Make sure that their word counts when they're giving the word to others. All those things where lying was considered something that was bad. What happened to those things? So my theory is that 3 generations, what happened was people started to become more selfish in regards to try to take advantage of people, and they notice that okay, so the culture is established this certain way, so I think I can just sneak in and just do my things behind the doors, and nobody's gonna just know that I'm doing these bad things. The problem is that we notice that has consequences, and there was not individuals but generations thinking that way. And this of course go to people that they were doing things or activities in front of family members, and of course a lot of people got traumatized, and that trauma got delivered by generations. And then when you confront some of the generation, of course they cannot admit some of their mistakes, so therefore accountability becomes an issue. Now, something that I notice is that a lot of these behaviors are addictive, right? Telling someone that you're doing something wrong, you should stop, you're doing harm to other people, they're not going to stop. They're going to do the opposite. They're going to just keep doing more because they're getting a lot of energy. And then because they're deep into the rabbit hole, they're just allowing emotions to just determine their decisions. And no matter how many times you consult or have these conversations with these kind of people, they're never gonna hold accountability. Never. You call somebody lying, tell them don't lie again, they're gonna lie again. Then when we tell them, hey, can you apologize because of lying? They're not gonna even apologize. Or worse, they're gonna apologize if you keep doing it. Or people basically that you told them, hey, there's a timeline for this job, and they say, oh, sure, I'm gonna do it. That timeline comes, that person hasn't finished their job, and they say, okay, I'm gonna finish tomorrow. Tomorrow never comes. So there's no accountability. And then by the end, they're always trying to figure out a way where they can be in the upper hand. And the reason is they don't want to be in a position that they have to fix themselves. And going back to a lot of these topics that I've been talking about, it comes down to still being a kid, of course, but not having a direction on why you do things. Are you worried about your legacy? Are you worried about how your family think about you? Or worse, when nobody's looking at you, are you accountable? You just make sure that you do the right thing. Because in reality, everything starts when nobody's looking around. And right there and there, when you need to be accountable for yourself, you can drop the ball, or you can just bring it home, which is just holding yourself accountable. Now, in order for you to hold people accountable, or they are scared of accountability, start with yourself, like I always say, because you want to make sure that when you hold people accountable, it does have some weight. Remember, if things don't have weight, it doesn't gonna have any effect. So therefore, it's important for you to hold yourself accountable, and that way when people talk to you, they can relate to the message. Right? Now, going more into it, influence is very important. The people they hang out with. Okay, so you're hanging out with people that they're lazy, and they think that the world is a relative thing, and no matter how many actions they make, they're never in the wrong. Get out. Don't be close to these people. These people are gonna just drag you down to the earth. If you're practicing piano myself, I wanna be practicing piano with the best. I wanna be practicing piano with trumpet players, singers, that they know that practicing is good for them. They're holding themselves accountable. When they listen to my music, they're always saying things that just give me constructive criticism. Make sure you're in that environment. Accountability is important. Now, you're not surrounded by people like that. You have to just get out of that environment as soon as possible. It's the only thing you can control. Remember, it always goes for what you can control. Okay? And making sure that you're hanging out with the correct people. You need to just get out of these environments. Now, mentioning the fact that we're in this topic right now, influencing yourself and making sure that you know the people you're surrounding yourself, or the people that you relate by books and videos, it does create a culture for you of accountability. Now, it's always going to hurt our ego. And most importantly, others. Imagine if it does hurt your ego, imagine other people. How's that going to hurt them, right? I think the reason people really are afraid of accountability, I think, is because it does expose their immaturity, I must say, from where they never managed to find the real mission on life, and therefore they don't want to see that master manifest. I think what Les Brown said, I don't remember what Les Brown or someone else when I was in conference said that I don't want my kid tell me in those last seconds before I die that if I manage to achieve anything in my life. I don't want my kid to answer that for me. I'll be ashamed. I can look back and say, damn, man, all those moments that I should have just hold myself accountable, but that kryptonite was never allowing myself to be accountable. And I think about those things myself every time. Am I doing my 100%? Am I doing the right thing? Even with people not looking around. Am I reading correctly? Am I doing things that are driving me to move forward? And yeah, that's a conversation that I'm always having with myself. It is important to understand that life is one, and we should just live it as the fullest, right? But when it's time to just be accountable, we should not run away. The faster you run from your problems, the faster they just move behind you. We can't escape those problems. So make sure when you go through life, you understand why you're going through life. Live how you think. Okay? Live how you think. Do not live how you want people to perceive you to think. Don't save money, but tell people to waste money. Don't tell them to drink. Don't drink, but you're drinking every night. Don't tell them, hey, don't eat candy because it's bad, but then you just eating candy every night. That's not how things works. And that's where it all starts. So this was episode 130 for the PFA Music Podcast. You know what to do. You're listening to the podcast on YouTube, Rumble and BitChute. Make sure that you subscribe and like. Listen to the podcast on Anchor.fm. With a simple play, we just support the podcast. With that, guys, accountability is kryptonite. Episode 130. Have a good night.